Hi there, Crazy Corb here again. Got another story for you. Got some ideas. Got a few other things. Let's get started. Hey, you've heard different stories from me. Have you ever wondered why I got into all that shit? I have. I've wondered several times. But you know what? When I went to high school, I didn't do drugs. I smoked a few cigarettes. Didn't do alcohol. Not until I graduated. So, how can that be? It was 1964. I didn't smoke pot till 1966. And when I did smoke it, I thought, hey, this is pretty nice. It's definitely better than alcohol. That was the reason that I started smoking pot. When I drank, I did crazy, stupid things. I found myself in situations that required me to drive my car, and that's no good. You can't drink and drive. You can't do drugs and drive. I remember once when I first started smoking pot, I started taking pills too. And I learned real quick. Most of the people that did pills were not my friends. If I got into trouble, they'd dump me. They'd leave me somewhere. I had one for a fellow named Bill, had me take a pill. I took it, and then it knocked me on my ass. It was a pain pill that was given to cancer patients at the VA. And instead of helping me come down, he put me in my car, started it up, and put it in gear because I couldn't do any of that. And I drove away. I made my first turn. The second turn, it was a lot. I missed it. I went up over the sidewalk, down this ivy covered hillside to the freeway. Turned, because I didn't want on the freeway, turned and come all the way back up, probably 15 miles an hour, driving my 59 Dodge Royal. And I made it home, or close to home. Pulled the car over, stopped it, put it in park, of course, turned the key off, and laid down. About 3 hours later, some of my friends come by and said, are you all right? Because you've been laying in this car for a while and you're not moving. And I said, no, I'm not dead. I just took more than I should have and I'm all fucked up. And they said, well, do you want us to drive you somewhere? Take you to do something? Help you? And I said, no, I'll be all right. I sat up and this one guy says, let's drive around a little bit. We'll talk. So we did. We drove around a little bit and we talked. I pulled the car over and stopped and we talked. And we talked some more. And his parents walked up, saw him in the car, and basically hauled him out. Didn't say anything to me. They didn't know me, so. But they hauled him out and had a lot to say to him. But, those were times when I was learning what to do and what not to do. Didn't have anybody to tell me because anybody that told me not to do any of it was full of shit, as far as I was concerned. And I couldn't find pot. I could, every once in a while, I'd get a little bit, but I couldn't even get a lid. I couldn't get an ounce of it. Of course, back then they didn't go by weights. They just went by what they called a four-finger bag in a wax paper sack. So, but that's why I started selling pot. And I had paid a guy to teach me how to sell pot. I gave him $100. And I paid him for a quarter pound. I got my money back. I made just enough bags of weed to get my money back. But if I'd listened to him and done everything that he said, I never would have got arrested. But, I was young. Figured I knew everything. And what a surprise. I didn't know anything. I was an idiot, no question. So one day, I quit working at Douglas Aircraft, and I was working in a gas station for, it went from $4.10 an hour to $2 an hour. So I was working at half rate. But that was okay. I was going to learn how to work on cars. That's what I wanted. And I was talking to the station manager, and he said, "Todd, looks like that car's for you." Car pulled in for gas. We were selling it for 26 cents a gallon then. And I went out, and it was an old Studebaker Lark, 1960, I guess, 59. It'd been hit in the rear, and it was a convertible, but there wasn't any top. There wasn't any mechanism. There wasn't any deck lid. And the front seats were springs with blankets thrown over them. But the passenger looked like somebody I knew. So as the guy driving says, "Give us a buck of regular." So I did. And that's almost 4 gallons of gas. That was a lot of gas for that little rig. And then the guy shotgun goes, "Gary Corbett." And I looked over at him and I went, "Mike Whitaker." We went to school together. And he laughed and he goes, "Well, everybody calls me Tree Sloth now, or just Sloth." And I went, "Okay, Sloth, what's up?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Do you smoke weed?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I certainly do." He said, "Well, we've got some kilos for sale at $100 a piece." And I said, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he wrote down this address and handed it to me. And I said, "I'd like to come and get 3 tonight." And he goes, "Okay, not a problem. Come to that address. I'll expect you around what, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock?" I said, "Yeah, I get off at 5, so figure 6." And he goes, "Okay, you got it." They drive away. So I go back, and the guy goes, "We talked a lot." And I said, "Yeah, it was somebody I went to high school with." And he goes, "Oh, okay, cool." So I did my daily chores and all that crap. Came time to leave. I went over and I got in my 59 Dodge Royal. Nice 4-door car. Um, First one that my dad helped me get. So I take off. I go down to where this address is. And it was on 4th Street. Near Redondo, but it was on 4th Street. And I pull in because I see the Studebaker, and I pull in and park right behind it. But the driveway is a double wide driveway, and I make the 7th car parked there. I get out, I walk in. I'm wearing at that point, it started out, it was a Flying A gas station, but it had been bought over by Phillips. So I was wearing a new Phillips shirt. Walked up and went to where they told me. There was 2 duplexes. It was the back duplex, bottom, with the red door, I believe, was theirs. Each apartment had a separate colored door. His was red. Everything else was brown. The walls, everything. The walls of the church next to it, who they rented from. And there was this paper bag sitting on the floor, on the porch. And I hear this voice behind me that says, "That bag's for yours." And I looked at it and I went, "Okay." And I picked it up and opened the door, and Tree Sloth walked in, and his friend walked in. His friend's name was Mike also. Um, I have lots of stories about those 2. But this one was the first time I'd gotten a decent price on kilos, $100 a piece. And we talked, we smoked a couple of joints, and I said, "Well, I've got to go." And they said, "All right, well, now when are you going to want some more?" And I said, "Well, when can I get some more?" And they said, "Okay, you tell us what you want now, and we'll have it for you on Friday." And I said, "Good, I'd like 5, maybe 6." And he goes, "Well, you can have 5." I said, "All right, That's what I'll do. I'll take 5 on Friday. This was like Monday or Tuesday. So I go back out, get in my car, take off, and I drive home. Got 3 kilos in the trunk. Now I paid $200 a piece for kilos when I was buying them from my other friend. So I'm thinking, okay, this is cool. I went out, found somebody that I could park at their house and clean a kilo up, bag it up. I got 38 bags. This time I put them in plastic sandwich bags. They had just come out, and used tape to seal them. But I had some nice looking weed, and it was good weed. I left a little bit with the people that I used their house to bag everything up. I sold all 3 kilos worth. It was over 103 or 104 bags. So I sold 100 bags. That gave me $1,000. I go back on Friday to pick up my 5. But as I'm driving over to their place, I see this house for rent. I pull over and I go look at it. Turned out it's not a house. It's was a house, but it had been made into 2 apartments, upstairs and downstairs. Got the address, phoned the guy, talked to him. He told me what it was, $50 a month rent, utilities included. And so I went ahead and gave her 2 months rent, gave her $100, and left. Got my weed, got my 5. I gave him $500. I still had $400 left. Well, 300 anyway. But took the weed, went home. Next day I had off. And so I go and get my key, move in. This is on 14th Street, right off of Orange, my first hippie house. That's where it came from. And I owe it all to Mike and Treesloth. Thanks, guys. Of course, Treesloth's dead. Don't know about Mike.